Listen, we are back with the JAXXON podcast. Rampage is about to do an intro for a very special guest. Rampage doesn't do these intros often, so when he does, it's because he's the most requested guest of all time. We are sitting here with Mike Goldberg. Ladies and gentlemen, the voice of MMA.
Thank you, guys.
One of the originators, one of the guys who pioneered what it feels like to be at home, to hear MMA through your ears, through your eyes, see it in real time. Incredible to have you here.
Thank you very much. I was very pumped when I got the text from you. Said, we need to get you on. Q and I have always had a great friendship. We've always had great laughs together. He was in Phoenix a lot for his F3 stuff, and we got to hang out. We did the UFC 300 watch party together, and
that was cool.
That was fun.
That was really fun.
That was fun.
Where was that at?
It was at F3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we was at the F3 headquarters.
So you get guests for F3 watch party, but you can't help us get guests.
No, because you do all the work over here.
Nah, I'm kidding.
Well, you did say on a previous episode that you do all the work.
He get all the guests.
No one comes on this show unless Rampage says so.
He get all the guests. He hits them up. Yeah, he hits them up and he bugs people.
Did he bug? Not bothering me.
Did he bug you? How many times did he text you?
Quite a bit.
47.
Yeah.
You told me you wanted him on the show.
Yeah, but I don't want you to bug. I don't want you to bug him.
Well,
hey, just to be fair though, I like to be honest. Him and Harrison Rogers have a good relationship.
Okay.
And so
it's good. I just want to.
He be hating, bro. If he be hating, whenever I do another podcast, bro, he hates.
No,
he gets jealous. He think I only got to do JAXXON. I want to do JAXXON podcast.
Well, it's named after you.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, it's spelled incorrectly, but it's named after you.
He don't know how to spell.
Wow. Okay.
Did your parents really like you give birth and say this one's Bear?
Yeah, I came out furry, and what?
I guess this is not the first time you asked that question because that was a great answer.
You don't like that answer?
Well, I believe it. I believe you came out really.
Oh, you do? How would you know?
Yeah, look, you can tell he shaved his arms.
I don't shave my arms.
Yeah,
he just put away. He waxes. He waxes his
wax
the early days
something.
of the UFC. Let's jump right into it.
I don't allegedly either. So
Rampage shaves.
No,
yeah, you do.
Come on. Have hair right here. Hey, to keep it 100. The only thing I do, I manscape though.
What's that?
I keep it all. Like
wait, you shave your balls?
Hell yeah.
No, you don't.
You don't?
You what? Why not?
You're supposed to?
Yeah.
Dude, this ain't Wolf of Wall Street where dad goes to, to Jordan Belfort. Like, you know what? I like the bush. Like this is a cleaner era.
Bro.
I didn't know you were supposed to do that.
Yeah, listen. The most embarrassing thing is when you teabag a girl and you come up and she's like picking hair out of her teeth. Bro, you don't want that.
I've never teabagged a girl.
You never teabagged a girl?
No. What is that?
I bet you've been teabagged before, though.
No.
By someone who didn't mind the fur.
No.
You never teabagged a girl.
What is that? Bro, I told you, I went to an all-boys school. I was Catholic.
I believe that. I believe that.
And then you did it in the bathroom every day.
Slang. I don't know the slang.
Hey, okay.
Yeah, real talk.
This is real talk.
Yeah,
real question.
Educate me.
Real question. Have you ever been sitting down on the toilet and made a mistake and dropped your dick into the water?
No.
I believe it. Let's move on.
Wow.
Yeah, water was cold.
It's cold. It's very cold.
Yeah, deep too.
Deep too.
What does that mean? That's what the girl
Because when it goes down in the water, it's like, whoa, yeah, it's cold.
It's the worst thing ever. It's the worst thing.
It's deep too.
When you go to the bathroom, like when you're taking a number two, your piece hits the water?
If I'm not careful.
Wow.
That's why he's Teabag King.
I'd be teabag.
That's why he replaced Mr. T as in the new Teabag.
That's right. So you got to call me
A-team.
Mr. Teabags.
So you enjoy getting teabagged. Is that the term? Is that how I'm supposed to say it?
No, that's not how you supposed
Goldie,
to
is
say
that how I'm
He
supposed to say it?
he enjoys giving teabags.
I give
Giving
teabag.
teabags.
Yeah.
Like Boston Tea Party, you like tea, Jasmine milk. Drink. So the early days of the UFC, break it down to me. I want to know how you got the gig. How'd you get involved? How did you become the voice of MMA?
I was at ESPN doing the NHL on ESPN, and Bruce Connell, may he rest in peace. If you're a UFC fan, you heard me say hundreds of times, Tonight's Show, produced by Bruce Connell, directed by Anthony Pasquale Giordano. So Brucey and I are doing hockey together. I was at ESPN then with the Red Wings, and Bruce Beck, who was the first ever announcer, got a full-time job at NBC in New York. He was kind of freelancing and had a lot of times
available to freelance and do the UFC. Like he was the sideline reporter for the Knicks. I was the sideline reporter for the Bulls. He would do the small conference college games. I was doing them in Chicago. But then he gets his dream job, so he can't freelance anymore because he's busy. And Brucey goes, Goldie, I got a gig for you. It's in Japan. You got to take a jiu-jitsu class. And I was like, okay, gig, Japan. What was it, the third thing? Like, no, I didn't like that one. So I took Muay Thai instead. Yeah.
Wow.
Although you were a good wrestler.
Yeah, I got good later. MMA made me better at wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I started late.
I saw some. I was doing some background checks, even though I've known this guy for probably going on 30 years now. But Q, you and starting wrestling, and you know what's cool? Bear is that there's so many stories where fighting saved someone's life. And that's what you were talking about in one of the previous episodes.
Yeah.
Yuli the Monster Diaz, the fighting pride of the 305, just took his last walk into combat. And that was with BYB. It was a bare knuckle bout, 26-second knockout. In Miami, Yuli shirts all over the place. It was awesome. He's a legend down there. But same thing. He was in prison. He was selling drugs at a young age. He was doing whatever he could to support his family. And then his line, and I love it, he goes, I got tired of my own shit. So I turned it around, and fighting saved his life. So it was cool. It was cool seeing some of that video, man. It was really cool.
Oh man,
Really cool.
Yeah. It's crazy how that works. I just feel like, especially back in the day, a lot of people that went into fighting, they wasn't like the rich kids. They wasn't like the kids with the silver, you know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah.
It's a tough sport. It's a different field to go into.
No question. And I think wrestling, you're just, as a wrestler, you're on a different landscape, man.
Yeah.
I'm old enough to remember the wrestling team running around in garbage bags,
Yeah.
literally to cut weight, like garbage
sweat.
bags. Yeah. So Brucey brings me over to Japan. SEG owned it back then. My first ever fight was Ultimate Japan. Of course, he loves that.
Oh yeah.
Randy Couture defeated Maurice Smith to become the UFC heavyweight champion of the world.
I remember that.
Yep. And Frank Shamrock came out of the shadows of the world's most dangerous man. And Frank armbarred Olympic gold medalist Kevin Jackson out of Michigan State in 21 seconds or something.
I remember that Kevin Jackson, he was doing really good in UFC.
He was, absolutely. Because he was an Olympic caliber wrestler.
Yeah.
He was doing really good. And Frank just said, boom, 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 damn. That was the submission game back then that wasn't quite as misunderstood as it was when Hoist would be getting the crap beat out of him. All of a sudden, people are tapping. It wasn't that unexpected, but Frank was just really great at it. And Pancrase background and the whole bit. And then that was it.
So you was there before Joe Rogan, huh?
So this is funny. Joe, if you go back and look on 15 and 16, and I started on 17, Joe had hair, first and foremost, and he was the guy backstage, the super fan. I'm Joe Rogan, and I'll be here all night interviewing the fighters. And so he wasn't it was Bruce Beck and the late, great Olympic gold medalist, Jeff Blatnick.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Right? But Joe comes in, and he was just a fan of the sport. And he was as my son said back then when my son was little, he was the fear factor guy. Yeah, Dad, he goes, fear factor. Yes, he does, Cole. You got it, buddy. You'll lose that in a couple of years. It's okay. But Joe just loved it. So when I looked at tapes to prep for my first one, Bear, I saw Joe doing this behind the scenes. But then my first broadcast partner was Jeff Blatnick for a long time. So technically at the broadcast table, I did get there earlier than Joe.
You remember Jeff Blatnick?
Yeah, and I remember even when Joe, I don't remember it maybe in real time, but I remember watching it on YouTube or something when Joe was talking about an interview saying his first fight that he commentated was because Dana White had gone and watched the video when the Fertitas and him bought the UFC and said, oh, this guy talks about UFC and jiu-jitsu on TV. Incredible. Let's get him. And then he was there because he was doing stand-up comedy. He had done a podcast recently with Adam Sandler. He talked about how he was doing stand-up comedy in New York. And Joe's like multi-talented. I get it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's an interesting dynamic how
Yeah,
all of
two
you guys
man, you guys are the best.
You guys are the
Thank
best
you.
to ever do
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Where did the intro come from? Where did the outro come from? Where did these iconic memories of hearing you talk about a fight getting ready to start come from?
You know what? It's funny because I've been asked that before, Barry, and I never really went in and tried to force a phrase or anything like that. And I was taught that by Bill Clement at ESPN. He said, something will come up. Like Dick Enberg used to always say, oh my, we are live, Brent Musburger to start something. They all have their phrase, welcome friends, if it's Jim Nantz. And I just, one time I was like, here we go. And then all of a sudden there was a reaction and people liked it. And then It's All Over. My It's All Over, again, was just something that the fight's over. I made it a bigger deal, but my excitement made it even more fascinating. Yeah. And I took a little bit of the staccato from Gary Thorne, who was my hero as a play-by-play guy in hockey, because he would say, Raymond Bourque has won the Stanley Cup. And so he scores. So I would be, it is all over, just like that. And Lorenzo, out of the corner of my eye, Lorenzo looks over. I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to use this. And then they became iconic, virtually identical. Why did I say that the first fucking time? I have no idea. I mean, if the tail of the tape is all the same numbers, it is virtually identical. But I came up with that one. And on the combo features, you'll remember this. Coming up next, Rampage Jackson fights Rashad Evans right here on the UFC. It was like, coming up next.
Yeah, you had a bunch of them.
I did.
That gave me chills right now.
I did.
I've gotten in trouble with my friends for
Thank
making
you.
fun of them, sending them virtually identical memes of them with something ugly.
Oh, I get a lot of them. I get added into it because it's my line. So you got a horse and a something, then got me. One of the dumbest faces ever, but that's the ones that make good memes, obviously, right?
Oh yeah.
That is crazy. So we're in Japan. We're in Roppongi. I know you've never been there.
Oh yeah.
And Tank Abbott was on the card, and Tank was there with his boys. And who was the redhead who was always with Tank?
I forgot his name.
Rusty or something, but that was this guy.
The little, are you talking about the little guy?
Well, the little guy too, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So all of a sudden, this fight starts to break out, Bear, in this bar in Roppongi. I also learned that the locals over there will dance for a couple hours and then they literally will sleep like against the wall. Right?
Yeah.
Then they get up like an hour later and start dancing again.
Yeah.
Another F3 or whatever they were taking back then. I don't think it was F3. Nonetheless, this fight is happening and it's all of Tank's boys, and Tank had to fight the next night. And Tank did the classic, moved his drink over this way, got out of the way, and they just went at it.
Wait. So Tank was in the bar drinking a night before his fight.
Yeah. Maybe it was Thursday. So
I wouldn't doubt it was the night before. This guy used to rock. Tank said it himself. He used to drink on the way to a fight. He didn't care.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. That's crazy.
But would he fight, like straight up fight though, or is it like pushing fight in the bar?
It got nasty.
Like in what way though? I would love to hear
They were
this.
throwing down.
It was a bar fight.
way.
Yeah.
Straight up bar fight.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Tank was in the bar fight too?
Like not a
No,
push
Tank
fight.
didn't. Tank
he
didn't do a thing.
Oh, okay.
They were throwing. Remember the China White story with Chuck Liddell and everything in London? The fight outside of China White?
Yes, with Tito Ortiz.
Yes,
For
because
the
Tito's
bank
guy.
robber.
Because
Who was the
Tito's
bank robber?
guy.
Who was the guy's name? The robbery guy, right? Didn't something happen?
Yeah, that time that they said Tito got knocked out.
No, don't say that.
That's the fight he's talking about.
Yeah, it is.
I forgot the guy's name.
After
All right,
part,
break
but-
it all down. Break it all down.
So it was Tito's buddy. Man, I'm embarrassed. I can't remember his name. Shorter dude, always with Tito. And something happened at China White that Tito's buddy got knocked out. And that's how it all started.
Are you talking
And
about
so
Damien, his short buddy named
Yeah,
Damien?
yeah. Yep.
he was in London with them during this?
Yep.
Chuck Liddell was there too?
Chuck was there as well. Yeah.
They were together?
It was when Ian Freeman crushed Frank Mir. It was that one. The brawl at Royal Albert Hall, UFC 38. It was awesome. It was like Gladiator. It was like, really was like the Gladiator. And it was like we were in the Coliseum. The way it was built, because it was a theater,
Yeah.
that was built back then by the Queen for Prince Albert.
I just want to add, my brother Tito didn't get knocked out. He had on church shoes and he slipped.
Yes.
Hey, Tito Ortiz, you know I got nothing but love for you, but Rampage is making it worse right now. Tito Ortiz is a great world champion. He was a great fighter.
He was in the bar and the floor was slippery. Slippery. Yeah, his floor was slippery.
What are you slipping and sliding on? Listen.
He was wearing dress shoes. Where I come from, we call them church shoes.
Church shoes? Sunday shoes. That's where I come from.
We said
down
church
south,
shoes.
we say
and
Sunday shoes.
So I'm just saying, that's the fight you're talking about when people saying that Tito got knocked out. And I heard from different sources that Tito didn't get knocked out. He slipped and
slipped.
And he never went unconscious, right?
No.
So Tito slipped.
He slipped.
Tito
And
slipped.
So people have been shitting on my brother's
he
name
slipped.
for all these years. You one of them.
I didn't even
You
say
just laughed
anything.
when
You
I said
started
it.
it.
So you was there at the fight.
I was there at the fight.
What
It
happened?
moves out. So something happens inside.
He slipped.
He slipped.
Okay.
But then everybody starts moving outside. And Chuck becomes Chuck.
Oh, no.
Chuck becomes the Iceman. And he is throwing down, knocking people out. Bam,
In the
bam,
street.
bam. In the street.
In London.
In London.
With
in the
Tito
street.
Ortiz behind him.
Yes.
It's like the Avengers versus all of London.
It really was. And the Avengers were kicking the shit out of London. You know what I'm saying? And my ex-wife, Kim, who I'll tie that into a Tank story later.
Yeah.
And Q remembers Kim. She said hello, by the
I
way.
said hello.
Yes.
Hello.
And so Kimmy's out there and she's like saying to Chuck, you can't do this. Like your career, you can't do this. And Chuck goes, this is the most fucking fun I've had in years. Back into the crowd. Bam, 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 bam. 3 more down. Bam. And it was the place owned by Guy Ritchie when Guy Ritchie and Madonna were together.
Wow.
So it's his club.
way.
China White.
Wait, why was Chuck and Tito Ortiz on the same side for once?
They used to be cool.
No, but this was years after they were cool. They weren't cool anymore.
No, this was a
Not
long
too
time ago.
long after, but if you think you just said it was, the Avengers against the Brits.
They just all the UFC guys came together.
They become the Avengers.
Did they so happen to be at the same bar, or they
Yes.
went there together?
No, they so happen to be there. That was the official after party for that show.
Yeah, what was the name of that guy though? Because Tito fought that guy, but he went to jail. That guy's still in prison or something.
Really?
Whoever the guy is that fought Tito, I forgot his name. It's been years since we talked about the guy. But he did like a really big heist in the UK.
Oh,
I forgot his name. Man.
Lee
Murray.
Lee Murray.
Yeah.
Lee Murray. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It says the UFC fighter who pulled off the biggest bank heist ever. Wait, is this true though?
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is the guy that would come out with the mask on his face?
Like Bang?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is that him?
I don't remember. I don't remember because I didn't watch UFC that much back then.
Right.
Yeah.
But what did this guy do? I'm so confused. So Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz walk into a bar in London. A fight breaks out. Tito slips.
Tito slipped.
Chuck turns around and goes, ain't nobody messing with a UFC fighter in front of me. Doesn't matter if it's Tito Ortiz or not. And the UFC heavyweight champions all unite to go fight all the London guys.
Light heavyweight.
This light heavyweight, yes. I just mean big guys.
I know. And I'm just kidding.
Yeah. What were you, a super light heavyweight. I'm sorry, I forgot. So, but then you guys all walked outside.
He's glad. Hey, you know what?
He's a bully now. Look,
because you
this
don't think I don't
podcast
know
has
that-
changed. He used to be a really nice guy.
Oh,
he used to
no,
be
here
really
we go.
nice.
I
give
say
you
one
compliments.
thing. I say one thing.
Bro.
No,
He gets mad.
I've watched a lot of episodes. You've said more than one thing.
I say one thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He's
Listen,
my favorite person in the whole world.
And then you're mopey some days, like with
'cause-
Adrian Broner.
Oh my!
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Adrian Broner is a
He's the worst
4-time world champion in
Worst guess.
4 different weight
classes.
divisions.
worst guess ever.
Yes.
Worst guess.
It doesn't.
He's
doesn't
one of the
surprise
greatest
me.
boxers of
Worst-
all time.
worst
I wouldn't
podcast
go
guest.
that far, but he's elite.
You heard him say that. One of the greatest boxers
Worst
of all time.
podcast guest ever.
Why are
Because
you-
out of all the podcasts I've done,
That's Adrian though.
Time out.
Adrian's like that.
Time out. Let's compartmentalize Adrian Broner for a second. I like him. He's a great guy. And he came on the podcast before we had any guests. He's a good guy. He
Hey,
supports you.
but he didn't want to.
You're a mopey.
Because he was bullying me for
I
one.
don't-
But Adrian, like I go off people's energy. Right. Like when
He's quiet.
You knows when you knows when like Goldie. He's super cool, super chill.
the man.
He has good energy.
You have great energy.
I know.
do.
Yeah,
So you
because
gotta-
I go off.
you gotta
So
inspire.
when somebody's energy is not good, I
Oh,
can't be myself.
I understand that.
He just felt like he didn't want to be here.
Listen, you unified the Pride belt and the UFC belt.
But since
You're a
since
champion
he
of
got,
all champions.
since he
Be
got
nice.
famous from the
I
podcast,
didn't get
look,
female.
look,
Oh,
he can't
God.
even go nowhere. Look, we went to the fair and people come up asking for pictures and autographs and stuff like that. We went to the UFC in Anaheim. People asking for
Because
pictures and
they think
autographs.
I'm Ronnie from the Jersey Shore. It has nothing to do with the
They
podcast.
like, I love the podcast.
You're not?
Ever since then, he's changed, bro. He's changed.
You gotta stop.
Really?
All he does is bully me.
Yeah, I don't bully him. But I do want to say something. I gotta finish this. I gotta finish this story. Were you at the bar when all this was happening?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Because you were at the fight, right?
Yeah, but I called
Okay.
the fight.
Yeah. When you were at the bar and you saw Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz battling it out against all the Londons, what was going through your head? That's got to be one of the coolest moments.
Well, it ended up out of the bar because the big security dudes got everybody out. So it was in the street right outside of the bar. And it was. And Tito was very upset because Damian got knocked out. And
Damian got knocked out?
Yeah.
The little short guy?
Yes, that's how it all started. Yes. And so Tito was pissed. And then Chuck has never found a street fight that he didn't like.
Yeah.
So, like, again, Kim's going, Chuck, your career. He's like, fuck, this is my fucking career. Like, bam, 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 bam. Ah, right? Like, fuck.
I love Chuck Liddell.
Yeah.
Hey,
I love Chuck Liddell. I love Chuck Liddell.
I heard this story several times. I didn't know Damian got knocked out. You know, he's always the first to fight.
Yeah.
Why?
He's a
Because he hangs out with fighters.
and but you know he's a little bitty guy. He's a little
Yeah.
But you know, I was with him one time and a fight broke out and this big fat woman jumped on his back and she was so fat that he couldn't carry. He's a wrestler.
Yeah.
He's a tough guy.
Yeah, for sure.
And fucked both his knees. He had to get double knee surgery.
Stop.
Wow.
True story.
And Bear, that's not a teabag.
Hey, that's not a teabag.
That's a teabag.
that's not
I
a
would
teabag.
FaceTime her right now. You don't believe me.
Don't FaceTime her. I don't want
Him,
to know that you were with her.
I don't know her.
you were with her.
I don't know who she is.
You just said I'll FaceTime her. Like you guys are
I
friends.
said I first FaceTime him.
Whatever
Damien.
you do with her, do it on your own time. Don't
Damien
bring
was
that
cool.
energy in here.
Yeah, Damien.
Yeah.
I like Damien.
God damn it.
Oh, okay.
But when and that was Tito's guy though, and he got messed up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you got a little inside joke you two going.
Nah,
on.
he
No,
got
he-
this girl on speed dial.
No,
What you want?
he's trying to make fun of me. He said I'm cool with the fat girl that jumped on the back.
Wait.
I said I'll FaceTime Damien.
Let's move on.
And he said, don't FaceTime her, the fat girl. Like I know the fat girl.
Listen, being the voice that I don't know what you're talking
More
about.
cushion for the pushing.
This guy, when you're shaped like a marshmallow, you know what type of girls he's into. So listen, what? Your shirt. I'm talking about God damn it. Why you gotta be emotional in front of the voice of the MMA? I call him the voice of the MMA. You know how I get chills because I was a little kid.
Yep.
I'm only 33. I'm not 60. So I'm not used to.
Well, fuck off. I'll be 60 in November.
not you.
See, look. Now you are making fun of our guests.
No, because you
offended our guests. This is one of the most requested guests,
He's the most requested guest on the JAXXON podcast.
and you just offended him.
right now, who is the most requested guest on the JAXXON podcast?
Goldie.
Yeah. Hey, Wayne, right now, who is the most requested guest on the JAXXON podcast? Goldie.
So
Thank you.
I apologize to him.
I'm sorry for everything Rampage doing, and we ain't gonna have that anymore. Hey, Wayne, when Rampage starts acting up, lower his mic. We're gonna put a button right here. Whenever you start acting up, we're gonna press it. Goldie, you know he's a champ, so I can't tell much. He's one of the greatest.
I called it.
let him do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
But I gotta call this fight. It's time.
It's time for you to shut up. Let him talk. You the guest.
God damn it. Gonna get us
So
killed.
it was fun. And in the early days, it was still somewhat of, Senator McCain was right. It was human cockfighting back then. It really was. It was like wrestler, boxer, kicks to the
I'm out on this
face,
one.
everything.
No,
He was. At first, he was. If you looked at what the format was under SEG,
Yeah.
they ran away from regulation. The key to Lorenzo and Frank and Dana's success is Mark Ratner, who they hired immediately, probably the most respected man among sports commissions in the United States, and even probably more so in other countries, because he was at the Las Vegas or the Nevada State Athletic
I
Commission.
always liked him.
Yeah, he came down with the ruling when Tyson bit Holyfield's ear.
What
Mark Ratner.
What was his ruling?
He suspended Mike for a long time. That was Mark's hammer that went down.
Yeah, because no one's ever done anything like that in boxing.
Exactly. So now you have Lorenzo smart enough. If we're going to go mainstream, we need to get sanctioned in all these states, and we need to show the world that this sport is not what it was prior to our ownership. Now, in the later SEGs, it became closer to what it was with the transition, but we were still going to Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, Lake Charles, Louisiana.
It's crazy you say that because Bear was thinking about transitioning too.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, you have to elevate the podcast. You got to go from chaos to a little bit more refined, and now we're getting more professional. I got iPads.
And you are the first person I ever heard say that Senator McCain was right. You're the first
I've always
person.
said that.
I've never heard anybody say it.
I never heard anybody say it.
Yeah.
But he said it and then he followed. So I don't want the internet to clip this and make him look bad. He said it and then he followed it up with a great explanation.
And then he changed my opinion and made me agree with him because I was just hating on Senator McCain because that's the sport that I love.
Of course.
But you're right though. When you think about it, it was no rules back then.
It was NHB.
Man, you remember
Right?
saying
No holds barred.
what was that Asian guy name that's in prison now? He was in that movie with 007 movie. It'll come to me later. The little Asian guy, he was getting punched in the nuts.
Oh, yeah.
That was
I'm trying to remember who it was.
You remember? Yeah. He's from Orange County.
He is.
I don't know.
It'll come to me. God damn it! I wish we had Vinny in here.
Okay, so I got to tell you guys, Vinny ordered the Uber for me to come over to this beautiful studio for a big day for me. And he said that the pickup was for Goldie. So the guy goes, "Are you Goldie?" And I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. It's first time like a Uber driver said. And then his directions, final destination for Goldie. So Vince, thank you. I don't know if Vince is in this room or that room, but no, it was really funny.
So when I got introduced to the UFC, it was UFC 20.
Okay.
And that's when Kevin Randleman fought Boss Rutten.
Yep.
And the guy who started me into training and doing MMA, he fought on that card. He was 17 years old. His parents had to sign off on him.
Really?
And right when they changed the rules, and he was fighting some guy, I can't remember what the guy was fighting, but the guy elbowed him in the back of the head. And it's illegal now.
Yep.
But it's the first when they first changed the rules. And Big John McCarthy just called it into the fight. And the guy was like, man, that was an illegal move. And it was their first time. So
yeah. And muscle memory, man, when you're fighting like in a certain way, in a certain fashion, you got to change it up all of a sudden. It's hard because it's muscle memory.
Yeah.
I mean, John Jones is undefeated. Let's face it. He's undefeated.
Yeah.
That fight against Matt Hamill should have been stopped on the 16th elbow. And then all of a sudden, John comes down 12-6 and he gets the DQ. And Matt Hamill, I love Matt Hamill, good Ohio boy. I got a cool story about Matt. Marcus Davis was not nice to Matt, but I'll leave that one to Marcus. But that was why there was the loss. But the ref should have stopped it. Like Matt was in big trouble, man. And John was coming from angles.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, just one came 12-6. So
how did Matt Hamill accept that win? Did he know that he got lost, or was he like celebrating that he got a win? You know? Do you remember?
I don't think he went into like, I just won the Super Bowl mode. I think if he was celebrating, it was like because he was no longer going to get elbowed. It was more that. It wasn't win or lose. It was like, I don't want another 12 of those elbows.
Yeah.
I have a question. In the beginning, and all joking aside, in the beginning, everybody knows that having good voice, good commentating, good, analysts kind of depicting the fight and giving the common person who's trying to fall in love with the sport. It's very important to a sport. It makes the fan fall in love with watching it, makes the fan understand the game, but most importantly, it makes you interactive when there's moments that are fatigued or boring, right? That's really why it's so important. And I just studied a little bit of journalism in college, and I remember watching a bunch of guys in Dick Clark sports events and all this nonsense. And one thing that I always loved about you is that the excitement doesn't fade off.
Right.
And you got to sit there for hours at a time.
Yeah.
And the passion is not something you can drink an energy drink and have passion. You drink an energy drink, you're going to be like me, jumping off the walls.
Right.
Like Rampage, getting teabagged or whatever it's called. What's the term? Teabagged? Wait, is it bagged or bag? Teabagged or bagged? Whatever you get. I don't care. But so then no? I don't know what it's called. My bad. I'm sorry if I missaid it. Teabagged. You get whatever you like doing. I don't care. But so then obviously you have to have excitement, right? Why are we laughing?
Because you're funny.
No, but is this a bad term? If this isn't a good term, tell me, because I'm too old to be getting in trouble. I already got
You just said you were 22.
Yeah.
I already got cream something on Reddit. They make fun of me now.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because I did cream sung miso soup or something, and now I'm a bad guy. But listen, what I want to get right to the point.
I've never been picked on social. You?
Oh, I get picked on every week because of Rampage. He called me a meatball one time. Now I get memes DM'd to me all day. Hey, meatball, nice podcast, but you're still shaped like one. Like that's rude, but it's okay. But when the Fertittas and Dana White took over,
yeah,
explain to me the dynamic. You're the voice of the UFC MMA.
Yep.
I'm going to say MMA in general, because we really fell in love with MMA because of UFC. So you're the voice of MMA. What is the dynamic for you as a person dealing with them, dealing with the organization? What was the landscape of UFC? Really give me a behind the curtain look.
We went to this dinner. All of the SEG employees who were going to be brought over to Zuffa. We went to this dinner in Vegas, Italian restaurant, shocking, back room, the whole bit. We knew that Frank and Lorenzo had financial backing, we'll say it the nice way, that they were rich as fuck. And all the vision and everything they shared at the table that night, I'm telling you, Bear, and you got to live it, and I got to live it, was we're going to turn this into something special. We're going to make this mainstream. We're going to embrace regulation, which goes back to my Mark Ratner. So Big John writes the Unified Rules of MMA. Jeff Blatnick, Olympic gold medalist, also a cancer survivor, before he had cancer before the 84 games, survived, and then won gold in Los Angeles in the 84 Olympic Games as a heavyweight. And then you bring Mark Ratner into a room and you start talking to these state athletic commissions, and literally they're going, if Mark Ratner says this is okay, this guy's the straightest shooter ever, this is okay. Oh, wow. So that was a real key. That was Lorenzo's first, is that by embracing regulation, we were also going to establish a set of rules which allowed us to get back on cable immediately. Because that was the big thing with Senator McCain. You could not get pay-per-views on cable during the dark days. Yeah, you were pulled off of cable. So you could only get it if you had DirecTV. Now people think, no, not everybody had DirecTV. There were about 15% of the Americans who had DirecTV. So you couldn't even make the choice yourself. You couldn't get the pay-per-view. And I've always said Canada saved the UFC because they were buying it still. They didn't have those same restrictions with the pay-per-view.
Wow.
So Lorenzo changed that. And then, we'll eventually get to it, but the Ultimate Fighter was a way to get true legitimacy, to show that these aren't thugs, to show that they're athletes, that they put in the work and everything. And to have Chuck and Randy be the first coaches, like who else would be the first coaches? This is perfect. Not as entertaining as Rashad and Q, but it's a black on black crime. Come on, Rashad, you're not saying that. Come on, Rashad. Come on, Rashad, you're not saying that. No, you're not doing that.
Rampage and Rashad probably have the highest viewed Ultimate Fighter season of all time.
No question.
Without a doubt.
No question.
Yeah.
I don't even know who the fighters were on that season.
The guy put chickens in Rashad's car. Like, you got to be a crazy maniac to put live chickens in someone's car.
That was all Tiki's idea.
Oh, no, really?
Oh, yeah. I had nothing to do with that. Hey, well, the Senator McCain, what was his problem, though? Why did he come out to the UFC so hard, though?
It wasn't the UFC. It was just the sport that was really, it really was. It wasn't you against Rashad or me against Bear. It was your style of fighting. It really wasn't mixed martial arts yet.
You're right, yeah.
It was like, which martial art is superior? Is it wrestling? Is it Muay Thai? Is it jiu-jitsu? Is it ground and pound? Is it, submission fighting? What is it? Is it pancrase? Remember the dude who came out with one boxing glove back at UFC?
He just passed away.
Yeah.
What?
Man, rest in peace.
I think he just passed away.
No way.
Yeah, because he had fought man, how am I gonna forget this? We just talked about this, remember? Because he came out with the one glove, and Hoist Gracie, I think he fought Hoist Gracie with one glove, and Hoist Gracie was saying, I never understood it because, it's because then he had nothing.
But that guy just passed away? No way, because I met him, I'm bad with time, maybe a year or two ago.
Really?
Yeah, he was the nicest guy.
The coolest thing was when we had the UFC 200, a lot of those guys were around with, the conventions and the
Jimerson.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he had one glove on, and it was 30 years later or whatever it was, or 20 years later, and he's walking around getting autographs, and he's got the one glove. Yeah. And it was a glove from not even a good sporting goods store. Yeah. It was the worst glove ever. Yeah. But it was cool because it was his uniform, right?
Yeah. We had Tank on the show, and Tank was telling us he made the glove, and then we had Tito on the show, and Tito was saying he made the glove, and then we were trying to figure out, all right, well, who made the actual UFC gloves? Because everybody has their own version of who made the glove.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, who do you think made the first UFC glove, in your opinion? Do you remember? Do you know?
No, but by the time I was in Ultimate Japan, they had the UFC gloves.
Oh, they did?
The MMA gloves.
And you didn't really watch it before all that, huh?
No. I was a hockey announcer. I I mean, I had just gotten to ESPN. I had just spent 6 years as a sideline reporter with the Bulls. So Michael's first 3 championships. The Last Dance, I lived the first 7 episodes of The Last Dance. This is the coolest thing ever to see them at that time get past the Pistons, the bad boys, and then Michael win the 3, and then Michael went to play baseball, and I went to ESPN. I came back, went in the locker room to see Paxson and all my guys I got to cover. And Mike goes, "Hey, what are you doing now?" I go, "I'm doing play-by-play for ESPN." And he goes, "I always knew you were too good for that sideline stuff." And I was like, fast forward to Wolf of Wall Street. Can you say that again?
Yeah.
Just a little bit slower and clearer. Like that's I still get chills. Like Michael Jordan said that. I'm like, holy crap.
For real?
Yeah. I swear to God, that's what he said to me.
So were you there? What year did you get to the Bulls then?
88, 89.
Got it. Okay.
So the Pistons were 89, 90 and 90, 91.
Bro, that was in the heyday.
That was the heyday. Yeah.
That was the best.
They were losing to the Pistons.
Correct.
And then all of a sudden, wait, they had got Rodman from the Pistons. No. Yeah.
That was for their second 3 titles.
Three-peat.
Yeah. And I was kind of UFCing it by then.
Wow.
Well, I was doing hockey too. But
Did you enjoy covering the
oh
Bulls?
my God, it was the best.
How was the behind the scenes curtain of that 3 era, that 3-peat?
It was just, I mean, Phil's such a cool dude, man. You know, it's like, you talk about Tank drinking before games. I don't know if there was a gummy or two in Phil Jackson's coaching career. I don't know. One might think.
What kind of gummy?
A good one, a Grateful Dead gummy.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about
No,
Phil Jackson
just
being in his zen state.
yeah, he was in his zen.
The flow. He coached with a zen mentality and
Very
philosophy,
much so.
and he would like to let his players figure it out, but be there to guide them to it because he always felt that would allow them to be at their highest level of state. Rather than being the coach that's yelling at you, he was the coach that brought you back down to earth during the game.
He was one of the GOATs, huh?
Absolutely. He's the reason Shaq and Kobe eventually won titles together.
He brought superstars together.
He did.
He's the only coach I think that can coach a dream team-esque and like a roster full of talent and make them win together. We see it in the NBA today. Why can none of these teams with great talent, they have 3 or 4 of the best players in the league on one team, why can't they win? They don't got a good coach.
Exactly.
No team ball, individual ball.
So you got to start giving some credit to Steve Kerr.
Ooh, I haven't heard that before.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I mean, he's surrounded by some superstars with the Dubs, right?
But no one knows, or not no one knows, but a lot of people who aren't basketball fans don't understand. He won with Jordan, and then he got to coach like the next Jordan.
He was the Paxson. So in 93, Pax hit a 3 in game 6 in Phoenix, the year Charles Barkley won the MVP. So Chuck won the MVP. They had Thunder Dan Marley. They had Kevin Johnson. They were good. Cedric Sabalas. And I was there. And so Pax hit the 3. And then a few years later, the next 3-point shooter from Nashville, not from Memphis.
Close enough.
Yeah. No, not what you said before. I'll get to that.
I like Nashville. I just don't.
No. It's funny because I have a story like that with Rogan. Yeah. But then Kerr did the same thing.
Yeah.
In the second trio. And then Dennis came over. Yeah. And Ron Harper, who I went to college with. Yeah, Harp came over. I mean, I literally covered Harp on Miami University TV. I interviewed Mike Holcomb, who was a highly regarded wrestler. And I said, what about this freshman, Mark Coleman? Coleman went to Miami of Ohio his freshman year, then went to the Ohio State.
That's in Ohio.
Correct.
A lot of people get
Oxford,
that confused.
Ohio. Yeah. We had T-shirts. Miami is in Ohio, damn it. Like that.
Yeah. What would you say is your favorite sport that you
Hockey.
Play? Hockey.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, I started playing hockey when I was 5 years old.
What's your favorite hockey player of all time?
My favorite hockey player of
Wayne Gretzky.
all time? Well, I love Gretz, but it's Joe Thornton.
God damn it.
Really?
Yeah. Now, I have a great relationship, and I've gotten to know him as a person, and he's been incredible with my son.
Yeah.
And he is the nicest, kindest Hall of Famer ever. So Jumbo's my guy. When I was growing up, I loved Bobby Clark and the Broad Street Bullies and the Flyers.
Oh, wow.
Got my teeth knocked out when I was 10 at the Ice Barn in Toledo, Ohio, and I begged my mom not to get him fixed because I wanted to look like Bobby Clark. That iconic shot of the cup when you watch the playoffs and Bobby's. Yeah. I asked my mom, because my first book report, like 3rd grade, was on Bobby Orr, Perry Sound, Ontario. My second was on Bobby Clark, Flin Flon, Manitoba. Well, Bobby Clark is diabetic. And Bobby used to do the insulin on the bench. Like they would monitor it. And I would run into my mom's room. I go, Mom, how do I get diabetes? She said, what?
Move to Memphis.
Is that what they call it there?
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, I didn't grow up loving hockey, but when I was like 15, 16, one of my best friends, Scott Cresson, he was out here in Newport Beach, and everybody loved the Ducks. And Gottsloff and I think Perry and Penner, they had just won. And I went down here to Sharky's on the peninsula with Penner, and they had that's where he celebrated his one day with the cup. And I remember everybody, like, people were screaming, don't touch it, you'll never win one. And I'm like, I'm never playing hockey. And oh, bro, it was chaos. And I loved hockey after that because it was so much fighting back then. It was real brawly. And then I fell in love with MMA and kind of moved away from hockey. But I still go to Ducks games. Rampage actually just unveiled the new Anaheim Ducks jersey here at the JAXXON House in Newport Beach.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of the Ducks.
Yeah. Rampage loves going to hockey games. He sits there courtside, has a bunch of his friends. Yeah. He loves it.
I want to see the fights though.
Yeah.
Well, you don't see him as often now as you did before. It was like, hey, I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out. That was the old, kind of chuckle. Now you still have guys who'll drop them, but you can't have certain guys in the box for 5 minutes. You can't have your superstars in a 1-1 game. Like, look at Keith Kachuk's kid who just, who just won, Matthew, who just won the Stanley Cup. He was the leader of that team. He was the shit disturber.
By far.
But he's not dropping them because you don't want one of your top forwards. You're a leader, you're an emotional leader in the box for 5 minutes.
Yeah, but there's still a moment where you need your forward to put on for the team and rally them and drop them as fast as he can.
Exactly.
If you're having a slump and no one's shooting hot, like our camera guy, our producer, Billy Loco Stretch, him and his brother both play hockey. One of them plays pro in Germany. They go to every game. We go to the rinks over here in Irvine. He plays late night, midnight games.
Yep.
He was in a big fight. He knocked out 2 dudes. They banned him for like 6 months. And then when he came back, he's like, I can't go back because then my team's always going to expect me to do that now to rally them up. I need to sit out a season. I go, you're soft, but that's okay. but I love hockey.
Have you seen that they're doing fights just on ice?
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah,
like
I have seen it. Yeah. Ice Wars.
That's what it's called?
Yeah.
It's AJ Galante. That's Jimmy Galante's son from the movie, The Trashers.
Oh, for real?
Remember the Danbury Trashers in Connecticut? It's right next door to Glover Teixeira's gym.
Oh,
I went out there to meet him in Danbury.
The Trashers was during the strike.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
And it was
AJ
cool.
Galante
Mike Rupp.
is
Mike
the
Rupp.
man.
Mike
You like
Rupp
that?
was the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like that fighting on the ice?
Yeah. I mean, here's what I like. I like when you have players who stand up for the players. Go all the way back to when Gretz was great. It was Wayne Gretzky, Yari Curry, and Dave Semenko. Well, Dave Semenko was Rampage. He wasn't Q. He was Rampage. And so if anybody touched Gretz, they knew Semenko was coming over the top. They had to deal with him. Then when Wayne came here, it was Marty McSorley. So you knew that there was a price to be paid if you went after the leaders. Messier was a little more hybrid. Messier just beat the fuck out of somebody himself. And it's not like Gretz has never been in a fight, but Sidney Crosby really hasn't been in a lot of fights because there's some big dude there that's going to make sure you don't take advantage of my player. And now you don't get a cheap hit on any player. And so I like it. I like when the game polices itself. That's what it comes down to. And when the fighting was there, it was to police it. And you made a good point before too, Barry. You talked about like the game's not going your way. In the old days, they would tap a guy on the shoulder and say, go drop him. Let's get this crowd back into this game.
It's like Biz when Biz was playing.
Absolutely.
Same thing. Third string plug, but
good
he
friend
would
of mine.
Rally up everybody.
No
I did
question.
the NHL first-timer show with Paige Hathaway for the Kings, and he's the one who put it all together for me. Guy loves hockey more than anyone. But it's the same concept. I think every sport has that. Like that's why Jordan had Rodman. The guy didn't care about stats. He was a bully in the paint. He let Jordan do what he needed to do, and they kept him isolated. But in fighting, so that brings us back to MMA. In fighting, it's so unique. And that's why I've always told Rampage and a lot of our guests, I have nothing but respect. That's why I always say I'm not a fighter, I'm a podcaster. And I love running JAXXON. It's a jewelry company. It gives me the means to do this. But fighting is a single person.
That's right.
It's like Gladiator. I get to watch this guy and I get to believe in him. I get to watch him. Like fighters could be the most popular, the most famous athletes on planet Earth if they were just allowed to have in-brand sponsorship deals, because then you would have brands like Toyota and Honda and Nike and PlayStation blowing up their fighters. And now all that mixed marketing comes back to UFC anyways. I understand the dynamic of the UFC not getting that upfront money because that's a 10-year game plan. But I've always said fighting, I fall in love with Rampage Jackson. Not literally. I know he would love that, but I don't.
No, you got me fucked up.
Yeah, but I fall in love with him because of the slams and the excitement. I loved watching Conor
I saw
McGregor.
something with Ricardo
Craziness.
Arona the other day. He was doing something. And
He's
I just-
surfing probably.
Yeah,
Surfing.
I just thought that poor guy. He did recover.
You know what? Well, kind of
Oh,
like
you're right. You're right. And I'll share with you real quick, Q. I believe that I was able to make a really smooth transition into MMA and get the respect of fighters like yourself, because that martial arts mentality, it's handshakes in the Stanley Cup playoffs, not just the finals. The only time they shake hands in the pros is after a kick ass, you're cross-checking me, you're slashing me, you're trying to kick my ass, you want to move on, and win the world's hardest trophy to conquer, and that's Lord Stanley's Cup. And then they shake hands.
Yeah.
So what's a microcosm of that? It's the martial art, and don't forget, boxing and wrestling is a martial art. It's how they were after the fights. You put on a show, needless to say, you want to sell some tickets, you want to sell some pay-per-views, but afterwards you would always see that respect of a martial artist. And that's why I could relate, because I was a hockey player and around great hockey players. And then I come into MMA with Bruce, who was a hockey producer. Man, most of our crew was ESPN hockey guys back then. But I've always said that the mentality that you guys have is you go to battle, and then what's done is done. If they got you that day, they got you that day. As long as it wasn't dirty, you're going to congratulate them.
Yeah, I think MMA has the best sportsmanship.
No question. And that's all martial arts, Q. You know, what's the first 3 words you learn? You know, yes, sir, no, sir. So yeah, it really is. And then the Brazilians just, I mean, that's why I married a Brazilian. I asked Anderson Silva to marry me. He's like,
He didn't-
I can't do that.
I don't think you his type.
Wait, pause. You mean the fighter?
Yeah,
Anderson Silva. You proposed to Anderson
I
Silva.
did. Yeah, I said, Spider, there's something about you that I like. And he said, Goldie, I don't think that I can do that. It's you boy, me boy, and I can't do it. So then I asked your best friend Vanderlei, and I'm way better looking than Vanderlei, especially what you did to him.
Oh yeah.
He turns me down. Bigfoot, like the big head Bigfoot dude turns me down.
Why you trying to marry all these Brazilian guys?
No, my Fernando's last name is Silva. It's my Silva joke.
You didn't know it?
Yeah, he actually did. He did.
Yeah. Come on, man. The cameras are here. Come on.
Yeah.
Bro, this is our guest, and you're going to come on here and disrespect our guest and not know background. You don't do your research.
I'm not supposed to know a whole lot about his wife. Have you seen how she looks? She's beautiful. So I make sure I stay away from his wife out of respect.
Good man. Hey, that's why I love you, bro. You got a lot of respect. Really? Really?
Yeah,
Really? I try to meet you halfway. You say fighters have the best sportsmanship. Really? Good game, brother. Thank you for everything you did. Come on.
No.
Not in front of our guests. Come on.
No.
Make peace.
No.
Make peace.
No, because earlier today he was
Pretend he's not Rashad for a second. Man.
Make peace, brother. Come on. You know I love
Beat
you.
twins.
Give me love.
Now you set me
Beat
up. 'Cause
twins.
I know him.
Yeah, beat twins in a movie.
Come on, bro. You know I got number love. Come on. All right. Listen.
You see what you set up?
No, don't listen to him. What kind of preparation did you do or did you have to do going into fights at that time? Because it wasn't like Wikipedia how it is today. To really learn about these fighters. Back then you had a different style of commentating as well. So you have to know a lot about these guys. You don't have quick cheat sheets like we do now. I can just Google someone's name.
When I was at ESPN doing hockey, Bill Clement, my idol as a analyst, it was Thorne and Clement. They were the number 1 team. And Billy told me, when you prep until you think you've done enough and then go another half hour and then push it away, or it'll all become minutia in your head, or you get all screwed up. And so I'm a freak when it comes to my OCD and prepping. And what I would do is try to tell the stories, because it's not been my job to go in there and do a technical breakdown of this move or how he, like, I know when he's advanced to the half guard or he gets full guard or he gets the Turk, I know that. I know the Muay Thai, but if I've got Blatnick sitting next to me or I've got Rogan sitting next to me, like, why would I be trying to break down jiu-jitsu when I've got the genius of jiu-jitsu, you know, kinetic chess? Like, you have that guy next to you. So I tried to tell the stories, bring the excitement, and I knew what people were setting up. I got pretty good at my Muay Thai. You remember I was kicking one day.
Yeah.
Rampage is like, damn.
I was impressed.
Yeah, he goes, I don't ever want you to kick me. And I said to Q, I go, I don't ever want you to slam me. True story.
Yeah.
True story. Mark Delagrati crew was good though, because we'd train down in some of the locker rooms before you guys would start to come down. And he'd have me working on the different combos, maybe spinning back fist where I was average still working on it. And the minute someone like you walked in, he would go right to like the 8 sequences that I just ruled, that he had taught me over the years. And so it's like, pop, 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 bam. And it's like, whoa, Goldie, Jacare told me I was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do.
I know.
That's what a coach's supposed to do.
Yeah, make you look good.
Make you look good.
Yep.
I had a damn coach, I'm not gonna say his name. And whenever it was like open open workout day.
Yeah.
He would fucking make up a fucking combo I never seen, but right there, I was like, what are you fucking doing? Hated that shit.
Was it a head game for you or your opponent? Did your opponent then go, whoa,
No. It was for him. He was like an ego maniac. It was for him.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about it that way though? Maybe he was trying to do it to set up your opponent, so your opponent thought you weren't ready.
Well, you know what though?
Wow.
You know what though? If that was the case, you know what type of person I am. He could have filled me in on Joe because fill me
That's
in on
fair.
it.
That's fair.
Because this is the type of person I am. I always wanted a trainer to train me in code and numbers. Because like just call out. We do a combo and call it like do the soup.
Yeah.
Come do the soup. Number 3 or whatever. I like that. We train something. You just call it anything. Do the telling pony. And I know exactly what, and my corner man don't know. That's the type of person I am. So I'm all about that.
I've heard cornermen
Actually smart.
throughout the years, that would say, do the Anderson, do the Rampage, do the Tito, do the Chuck. Like literally some of their great combos and finishes, they would refer, like Jason Perillo would refer to the legends that came before, like yourself, although you were with, Jason's era as well when he was with Tito and everybody.
Yeah.
Love Perillo.
We saw, Perillo's in here all the time training Cheeto and Luke. Perillo's one of the most high striking MMA full aspect coach I've ever seen. And I've worked with all of them.
Yeah.
Him and Eric Nixick to me are some of the greatest coaches I've seen in MMA. And then we've had Bobby Rimmer come overseas from the UK. We have Coach Yogi here who coaches Anderson Silva's kids. The JAXXON podcast is located in the JAXXON house. So we have our whole training center here. We built for Rampage, but now we have some of the top athletes and coaches and UFC fighters in here. It's a dream come true for me. I know he doesn't, it's normal for him, but for me, it's a dream come true to do this every day.
Yeah.
One thing I was going to ask you is that when you were talking about fighters, and you brought this up too, like the combinations, that's actually pretty incredible. Did you have to study a lot of previous fights before you went into a fight?
Yeah.
You had to order DVDs or get tapes. Like, who would handle all that for you?
Well, early on, like I said, I saw Joe as the guy with hair backstage, and I'll be here all night. And don't forget, if you want to eat some fish at 40 below, then you can win Fear Factor on NBC. No, I don't think that's what he said, but yeah. I did. I got DVDs sent to me to watch the first few. But here's the thing I always understood. Stay in your lane, man. It's such a phrase that really does dictate everything in life that we do every single day. People are great at certain things, and people are great at a handful of things. But if you got someone else who's done more on this side and you've done more on this side, just stay in your lane, man. Stay in your lane, do your thing. So I knew I never wanted to cross into Jeff's lane or in Joe's lane. I wanted to just tee him up. Now, you were talking about when the sport was growing, Barry.
Yeah.
I would ask some of the same questions to Joe because our audience was growing exponentially every show. So now we've got newbies watching. So we had to, I don't want to say dummy it down because that sounds negative, but we had to bring it back a little bit to try to throw those softballs to Joe so that he could explain what this is and that is and ride that delicate line of not kind of insulting the ones who've been watching for 5 or 6 years. And I would get tweets from all these friendly people in their basement, grandma's basement with, sticky fingers. I get all these tweets, man, and be like, why does Goldberg, is he that fucking stupid? He asked Joe the same questions. No, I'm actually that smart and it's not like I didn't fuck up before. I know I did,
Everybody
I don't
does.
I don't know why I said prodigy. I have no idea how that came out.
It happens. Yeah. Everybody fuck
exactly,
up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that was my key is so I would, much like you're the quarterback and you hand it off to Q.
It's his show, yeah.
Yeah.
I just sit
and
here
sometimes
listen.
you just pitch it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you go deep. That's what I always said. Yeah. I always said that I'm the quarterback. I can be Jake Delhomme. I won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I've got T.O. I've got literally, I got Randy Moss and Joe next to me.
Yeah.
And it's just my job to get him the ball and let him be him.
Let me dumb something down for Bear, because Bear's not that smart.
I need this actually. Go ahead.
Yeah. Cause Barry, he's really good at business and stuff. When it comes to MMA, he's stupid.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get. I mean, that's why I bring TJ Dillashaw for the post-fight analyst, because our post-fight analysts, we have two co-hosts. We have Luke Rockhold, who's sometimes in Dubai or Turkey, and then we have TJ Dillashaw, who's one of the greatest ever. TJ will come down. He'll have notes on every single fight. Him and Rampage could talk about fighting at the highest level. I mean, we saw Sugar Sean's coached him during the middle of the fight say, "Do the Dillashaw," and then that same side, same punch with the kick.
I can't talk at the highest level.
But he understands it, and he can do it at the highest level. So I can sit back on those and just make fun of him. But that's what the fans want. They want to know details.
Let me break something down for you though. So he just brought something to my attention. I had to think about it. He was commentating at a time where in America, when fights went to the ground, fans would boo. They didn't understand.
Immediately.
They didn't understand like the ground game yet. In Japan, they was cheering. They knew. They understood. But whenever whenever you watch the UFC at that time, they didn't understand what was happening on the ground. And
so that's why you say I always wanted to stand up and brawl with these guys. It makes sense.
Well, that's why I say there's certain fighters that I was always excited to step in.
You wanted to give the fight because you knew
I want to be the most excited. Yeah, I want to be the most excited.
No, I'm being serious.
Yeah, I'm serious. Like me, my mission in this sport was I want to be one of the most exciting fighters. I didn't know my goal wasn't to be the best fighter ever. My goal was to be the most marketable and the most exciting fighter. But back in the day, I remember back in the day, whenever in the UFC, whenever a fight went down to the ground and pound and jiu-jitsu, the fans would boo. Yep. So his job, he knew that it was getting new fans all the time. Yeah. So he had to like set stuff up so Joe would answer certain stuff and say certain stuff. And some of the fans that had been watching it for a while, they would ridicule him.
In what way though? Like they would say you didn't know the game?
Yeah. Why do you keep asking the same questions? Have you not learned anything? You don't know.
That's what he does to me every podcast.
Yeah.
Sometimes I ask him, I'm like, Rampage, they don't know. Like we have a new fan every day. Sometimes people watch this show just because they know Rampage from A-Team. Yeah. They watch the show just because they know Rampage from the fair. They know Rampage from a Vietnamese coffee shop. And then some know him as one of the greatest ever.
A lot of people know him from a Vietnamese.
Oh, but a lot of girls believe that. No. Sometimes he brings the
I was going to bring you a kimono, but I figured you got a closet full of them.
I just found out the other day that he was a dancer at a Vietnamese coffee shop.
That's not true.
What'd you say you were?
I was a bouncer,
at a
I
thought he meant
bar. At a bar in a club, not at a Vietnamese coffee shop.
You know I don't know these things. What kind of relationship did you have with some of these fighters? We've heard some stories that you had a great relationship with some fighters, you loved them, and some of them you hated. Is that true?
Not really.
No?
No, not really. There's really nobody that I hated.
Oh, okay.
I was closer to some fighters just because of the social part of it. Like Patrick Cote was one of my buddies. Marcus Davis was one of my buddies.
What about Phil Baroni? Did you like Phil Baroni?
I never really knew Phil.
Okay, nobody liked Phil.
Right. The New York badass. And then Phil goes to Mexico and messes up his life, man. Yeah. Oh my God. But I liked his act.
Yeah,
his act was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was cool with Phil Baroni.
Yeah, well, Frank Style is a surgeon in Vegas he was really close to Phil. So he went into Nick Diaz's eyes, basically, the eyelash area and all the bone that's broken there, all the scar tissue. He cleaned it all out. It would have been $100,000 surgery, but Frank Style was a fan. And about 3 weeks in, fucking Nick takes the stitches out. So next time you look at Nick, look at his eyebrows, and they're literally like, you can see they look like they went through a meat grinder.
Oh, why are he taking the stitches out?
Because he's Nick Diaz, you know?
The God of War.
But he was starting to lose fights because they would cut so easily.
Oh. Because
of the scar tissue and then the jagged bone underneath. You'd cut all the time. We have fighters that cut all the time.
Yeah.
And he was one. So this got to the point where he was losing fights because of it. So how do you solve it? You get that mess out of there. So I guess other than the cosmetic part of it, they still got that mess out of there. Yeah. But cosmetically, I don't think the Diaz brothers care.
Did you guys see the Dana White video he just put out recently about saying that Merab should have never posted that video of his eye cut open?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all over the internet. He's like going in on Merab for posting a video of him.
You know what? I didn't see that, but I was thinking the same thing. Like, I like Merab. I like him a lot and everything. But if I get cut in training, I'm not posting. I'm not telling nobody.
Right. I mean,
why? But just because you don't want them to know that you were cut, or because you don't want to piss off UFC?
No, I got nothing to do with piss off UFC because I'm still going to fight.
Right.
I'm still going to fight. I'm going to super glue that shit together.
Yep.
I get stitches, whatever, super glue it.
Super glue.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, if he goes in, if he goes into the commission,
are you being serious?
No, he's serious.
You used to super glue your cuts together.
Yeah.
Like what? Super glue.
Super glue.
Super glue.
Bro,
CVS,
don't mess with
Walgreens.
me right now. You used to get cut during camp and you would
No,
super
no,
glue
no.
your...
I don't get cut that often, but
Oh.
but yeah, you super glue it. Yeah, I have before.
That's the craziest thing. I've never heard that.
But if you walk in with stitches in a bad area and you're going to go through all the pre-fight medicals, you're not going to be cleared to fight.
Right. So you got to super glue it.
You know, I mean, people who are real fans would remember that in the fight with Chael Sonnen, when Chael was in the top position for 4 rounds and the next 4 rounds and 2.5 minutes more, Anderson broke his rib in training about a week before that fight. So it just shows what Anderson was all about. And then the minute he had that chance for that triangle, bam, 1 minute, 50 seconds. And it was unfucking believable. And I'm not taking anything away from Chael, because Chael was using his ground game. But then you think Anderson, you think of all the exciting striking. He's also a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And so he really didn't take a lot of damage from Chael, with Chael on top of him for 4+ rounds.
If Anderson didn't have a broken rib, I don't think Chael would have got out of the second round.
Well, what happened the next time? Exactly what you said. Yeah.
Think about it. The rematch.
Yep. The rematch.
I don't even remember.
It was
okay, it was
a knee.
bad.
It was a knee, and it didn't last long.
Come on, Anderson Silva, if anybody knows anything, and you know I love Uncle Chael. I watch Uncle Chael all day long. He's my favorite guy on YouTube.
Yeah.
He's the man.
He do love Uncle Chael.
I watch Da Vinci Secrets and Uncle Chael all day.
Hey, bro. One time I had to deliver something to his house, and you know he told me the door's unlocked. Just walk in when you get in here. I walk in, and he was watching Uncle Chael on his big screen TV, but he was butt naked watching Uncle Chael. I'm walking in behind him. Something was moving, but I allegedly I don't know what he was doing. But I'm walking in there with the JAXXON stuff that I had to deliver to him. He's watching Uncle Chael.
And you're not sure if it was the remote that was moving.
I assume, I don't
Thank
know
you.
what it was.
Thank you.
Yes.
I had the remote underneath the sheets, and he thought it was.
I just
Now
turned
that
around.
remote
Guy's out of his
would
man.
touch the water in
This
the
guy's out of
toilet
his
when you're taking a
mind.
deuce.
I just say this figure.
Yeah.
I turned around and then
Yeah.
just put the stuff down. So he looked Uncle
So
Chael.
here's one that he seems to like. He seems to forget. We're down here. We had a fight in Anaheim. We went to Huntington Beach. We went to a club. You know where I'm going.
I don't. And my memory's
Wait,
bad.
his
Refresh
memory's
my
bad.
memory.
So,
Refresh my
yeah.
memory.
There were some beautiful Asians around. My ex is
hello.
Asian.
Hello.
And I'm talking to these girls, and he's the man, and he's there. And the one that maybe you were talking to when you went to the bathroom, she started talking to me, and he came out. All of a sudden, Rampage was fucking there in the bar. Like Q wasn't. He's like,
You cock blocked me?
no, but see, you thought I was cock blocking you.
You were blocking
and
his
he
cock?
said, and you said, Goldie, you already got an Asian. That's my Asian. Leave her alone.
You a dirty dog.
Yeah.
I must have been drunk.
No one
back
else
then.
can
Yo, we
Just
both
you.
were. We both were.
He liked
And
that.
I'm like, I don't want Rampage,
this.
man. Take them both.
Did I,
Like
did
this.
Did I get a phone number?
Yo, I'm sure. Yeah.
You smash?
I don't remember. I don't even.
Probably teabagged.
Probably tea.
You got teabagged by your girl?
Hey, can I say this? I don't know if I ever said this on air, and I hope Bruce Buffer don't get mad at me for saying this. But I found out like later on that me and him are like what you call it? What you call it? Eskimo brothers, blood brothers.
Virtually identical.
That we came across the same girl.
Virtually identical.
Wait, you and Bruce Buffer together?
No, not together.
What are you trying to say?
I smashed a girl, and then I found out later that he smashed the same girl. What you call that? What's that called? Is that
Sloppy seconds.
Who was second? Who was second?
I think he was.
Oh my! Not to Bruce Buffer. That's my favorite guy. That's my favorite.
I thought I was your favorite.
You are. You are
Yeah.
by far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I leave.
You are by far my favorite.
No, you just said how you gonna disrespect? I guess you just said Bruce was your favorite guy.
No, I didn't.
You just
No, I didn't.
you just said it.
No, I didn't.
How you gonna disrespect? I guess has Bruce Buffer ever sat down here with us?
I didn't say that.
You just said he's your favorite guy.
I didn't.
Right in
He is
front
my
of our
favorite
guest.
guy. Exactly. You just said it too. Now you're saying the same thing I'm saying. Now we're both saying the same thing.
So this called sloppy seconds. I think I smashed her first.
That's crazy.
Hey, but
Did
she
you
was
tell him?
She was a 10. He somehow I can't remember. Somehow we found. I think we were talking. And he showed me a picture. I was like, I already been there.
Oh my god, dude.
She was a 10.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god. Yeah.
Do you ever remember him at any after parties or any events walking in with any hot chicks?
I don't remember an after party that he didn't walk.
Wow.
Or
Put some respect on his name.
Or
That's my dog.
more succinctly, didn't walk out with one.
So he used to pull.
Oh, like pork in Memphis. Like he was
So we're gonna start
like,
calling
right?
Rampage pulled pork.
Oh my
No, he
God.
pulled- he
Rampage's
pulled.
new nickname, pulled pork.
Oh, no, you better
That's
not.
it. Why
Oh, you-
not?
I didn't mean it like
That's a
that,
good
but you know what I'm
nickname.
saying.
Rampage looks like pulled pork. That's what he said.
No,
You
he
said
doesn't
it.
look like
Hey,
pulled pork.
hey, no,
he
hey.
pulled what he pulled.
So
like they
Rampage pulled pork.
in
Hey,
Memphis.
Ray, make me a meme right now. Rampage pulled pork. Rampage, hey, Rampage pulls pork. Wayne, put that in the Jackson Podcast Discord.
God.
Don't
Oh
edit
my
this
God.
out. You are as
Art
legendary as they say because you just gave us one of the greatest nicknames in the history of Quentin Rampage Jackson. It's now Rampage Pulled Pork Jackson. Oh my God, I love
It sounds like I pull fat girls.
That was someone else.
It wasn't me.
There was someone else though that's a Hall of Famer.
So,
One thing I don't do is I don't smash any of my friends' chicks unless they just throw the pussy at me. Then it's like,
Well, you got to catch
what
it.
in
You
the
gotta catch-
world is that type of comment? I don't smash any of my friends' girls unless my friends' girls just come smash me. That's a horrible thing to say, brother.
bro, listen.
No, I'm listening loud and clear. I got the headphones on. I heard what you said.
Listen.
And I got the headphones properly adjusted.
Yeah, thanks to the Goldie.
Okay, I'm telling you, if I'm dating a girl and she just throws it at you, catch it, then tell me.
So
That's
at
a Memphis.
what
That's my
point-
culture.
At what point do you wash your hands after you catch her dildo? At what point do you do that? And then after you use it and throw it back at her?
No, what? No,
What?
There's no such things as that.
You just said you catch the thing and you use it and then you throw it back.
I'm trying to talk nicely.
Yeah, he's trying to say.
What are you saying? I
He's
never
trying to say
understand these jokes.
he wouldn't bang my wife unless my wife showed
no.
interest in banging him.
No.
Oh my!
I know.
No, they married.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm
not
just
married. Yeah,
bang
no,
married chicks?
No, I don't fuck married women no more.
Before we move on, I want to be super serious right now. I got.
You know I'm kidding on that one. You know I'm kidding.
I would never.
I was trying to dummy
know.
it down a little bit.
I know.
No,
I-
we can't because he's a monster.
No,
I would
I would never fuck one of my friends' wives. But I'm just saying, if one of my friends got a bunch of chicks,
Yes.
and she throwing a pussy at my like what?
Okay, Jeremy Roenick. We're in a bar in Manhattan, and there's a table of 8 chicks, and you remember Niner, Craig Conley,
Yeah.
our stage manager. Niner's the best. And like, we were just talking. I was married then, so it was all good. We were just talking this and that. It was all good. And I would talk to one girl and then another, and JR would go to the other table, and then he'd come back and he's like, Goldie, like, back off, dude. I'm like, so in other words, he had all 8. Like, they were all his, like,
He's greedy like that?
fuck yeah. I'm like, dude, like, what?
Don't even.
So do I leave with Niner? I guess I just leave with Niner.
That reminds
That
reminds me of a
Bear.
good friend right here, Rampage Jackson.
That's how Barry is.
So for all the audience out there,
That's how bad.
all joking aside,
No,
he's
no.
got the hottest chicks on the planet rolling around with him, right? He rolls around with them like a cheerleading
No,
team, okay?
no.
Imagine the Shanghai Sharks. You know the Asian basketball team was rolling around with the cheerleading team? That's what Rampage looks like at the OC Fair. He goes to a roller coaster and
You
he
should
tells
see him in Roppongi.
Oh, he was worse?
Oh, Roppongi, Japan. Come on, that's my
Dude,
stomach ground back in the
That's
day.
it.
How many times do you think you've been to Japan?
Over 30 something. I don't know.
And how long do you think you stayed there for at the longest point?
No, the longest I ever stayed like 14 days.
Oh, so you would
At
go
one
and come
time.
back.
Yeah, I was.
What about you?
Close to 10.
So to jump off topic, I was talking to who was I talking to? I was talking to Frank Shamrock about this, about traveling the world. And MMA fighters back in the day used to travel the world. So we'll move away from Rampage's roster because it is deep and it would take us all day to go through it.
Yeah.
I think
It's like all the dream
I gotta
teams put
log.
together.
Yeah, I gotta log into my MySpace to see his roster.
I didn't want to say that.
Tila Tequila in his top 8. So what's
No,
that? tell
I
you?
never fuck with Tila.
Stop.
I had a story to say about Frank Shamrock, but I didn't want to say it when he was on the show.
What? Wait, let's hear it.
He tried to cockblock me one time in Japan.
No, let's hear it right now, please.
I took this hot ass chick up into my room. I knew her or whatever. She was up in my room. And we was all down at the bar before, so he saw me with her.
Yeah.
And I guess he liked her and stuff. He was trying to talk to her and stuff, but I guess she told him like, "Oh, I'm here with Rampage." Anyway, I took her up to my room. Next thing you know, Frank Shamrock
No
knocking on my-
fucking way.
Yeah, bro.
No, come on.
I know he was drunk. We was all drinking, but I should have brought it up on here, but
But what did he say when you opened the door? Did he say,
Hold on.
Can I join? Or did he say, will you text me when you're done?
You think I opened the door?
No, of
You
course not.
opened the door.
No, I didn't open the door.
Hold
Of
on.
course not.
I never heard this side of the story.
I didn't open the
So you
door.
opened the door for Frank Shamrock.
I didn't open the door.
This guy takes everything and
Well, I just don't know.
That's an
I
art,
don't
man.
know.
That makes you.
I-
That
I
gives
re-
you personality.
Goldie, I gotta tell you something. I've learned a lot from you.
Yep.
And I always like to tout my idols and mentors things I've pulled from. And you had an amazing way of keeping us activated, keeping us captured.
Thank you.
And we pull inspiration from you on that.
Thank
and
you.
salute to that. No joke.
Thanks,
the fact
brother.
you opened the door in Frank Shamrock is scary to me.
I don't think he opened.
I didn't open the door.
Are you sure?
I was balls deep up in a Japanese girl and somebody knocking on my door. You think I'm gonna open the motherfucking door? I was balls deep. Boy, I was hitting
How
rock
do you eat
bottom.
balls?
I was like, bam,
How do you
bam.
eat balls and how do you go deep on balls? I have no clue. I've never studied that.
That means
Balls
that
deep.
means you got the tractor in the garage.
Oh,
but the back,
was,
yeah.
Oh,
the-
you were planting seeds
yeah,
in the
but
harvest.
The tractor had really.
That's
yeah,
my dog.
yeah.
That's my
The tractor
dog.
had really large back tires
I
that
love it.
wouldn't go in.
I love when I
You
hear
know
my
what I'm
dog
saying?
Rampage is winning.
Bro, he only been with one girl his whole life.
Oh,
I gotta wait till marriage, my mom said.
really?
Well, I mean, I don't have to, but my mom said, you ever seen The Water Boy? My mom said,
Yeah.
Yeah, so I listened to my parents, and my mom said, there's a lot of dirty girls out here, and be careful.
Yeah,
and
he
so I
don't-
said, I'll wait
so
till marriage.
He don't know a lot of stuff we be talking about.
Yeah.
I'm Catholic, I'm Roman Catholic, Italian.
Yep.
And I grew up watching Rampage, so you could see the spectrums of my life. So, I try to keep it light.
Non-virtually identical.
Keep it light, drink a Sprite. That used to be my motto. Now it's keep it light, drink a F3, I guess.
But
There you go. So we're at a UFC. Tank's in the audience. And I used to go to Chimayo's on Sundays when I was doing beach volleyball and go with Tank and go and watch him. He would drink vodka rocks all day at Chimayo's and fall off the fucking stool. And then him and his boys would go to this place by the airport for prime rib. So I swear to God. And I went to, have you ever been at Tank's house?
no.
It is leopard motherfucking, it is like boom, boom, boom.
It's like that.
Oh yeah. yeah.
I bet Tank be wearing leopard skin.
No, it was
thongs
cool
and
shit. It was actually cool. There's like zebra and leopard.
No way.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, so Tank was the man.
Yeah, he was. He was.
Oh.
In his way, he was. And so then we go to dinner and he's so drunk, takes his teeth out and he's just eating the prime rib with his hands. Without his teeth out, it's all over his face. And then bam, he falls off the chair, holds the fucking prime rib up, gets back up. It was awesome. It was a night I'll never
Tank
forget.
Abbott?
Right down the street.
Oh,
Right.
I thought you were talking about that boxer Tank. You talking about Tank Abbott?
Oh, Tank Davis. Yeah, no, I'm not talking about Gervonta. I'm talking about Tank Abbott.
Tank Abbott. Our Tank, Huntington Beach Tank. The bad boy. I mean,
He got leopard everywhere.
Oh, everywhere.
He cool as hell.
He is cool as hell. So,
bro, he had so much swag.
Dude.
He had a big brawler fighting in bars. He's still a legend.
He is. We would get bios, right, on what these guys have done, where they grew up, and there was notes, any other notes, and always on Tank's bio it said, "My record is 245-5 in street fights." So a couple shows later, he's there, and Kim says, "Hey, Tank's here." And I said, "Well, go say hi." And so Kim walks up to Tank and goes, "Hey, I'm Mike Goldberg's wife." You know, fucking Tank. Like, "No, you're not." Kim's like, "Oh shit, no, I'm married to Mike Goldberg. I'm Goldie's wife." "No, you're not. I've met Goldie's wife, and you are not her."
Wow.
And then he goes, "I'm just fucking with you." That's good though.
That was good.
That was good. Like,
No, that was a good. That was a good save.
yeah,
that was a good save.
No, in like
Jesus.
yeah.
What a
Kim-
save.
I mean,
That was a save.
At that point, Kim's probably ready to jump over the cage and beat the shit out of me.
Yeah.
But Tank was just playing, man. Nah, I'm just kidding.
Hey, he's funny, dude.
He's
He
funny.
came on the podcast. He did like a 3.5-hour podcast. Obviously, he's a legend. I have nothing but respect for him. But
2.5. He shitted on Tito.
What do you? Hey,
Yeah.
Tank's a legend.
Man,
Tank is a legend.
He was on the podcast for like 3 hours.
And when you think, what you go back to what we were talking about earlier about like the fighters are actually really cool dudes outside of the competition,
Yeah.
because it is a competition.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to take his head off, but it's a competition because you're athletes.
Bro, we sat here for 3 hours
Yeah.
straight talking about MMA.
And he talked, two of them, he shitted on Tito for 2 hours. People's calling him the Cat Williams of MMA. 2 hours he shitted on Tito, bro. It was, bro, I'm gonna tell you something. I love Tank,
Yep.
but you know I trained with Tito, and I
course.
had to text Tito. I was like, "Hey Tito, Tank Shitted on you for a long time, and don't get mad at me. I was laughing. Some of the shit was funny. He said, I don't give a fuck. You know how Tank is. I'm like, okay.
You know Sarab Manassian? He's a fighter. You know
What's his name?
Sarab Manassian.
The guy from Scottsdale.
No. He's originally from
Yugoslavia. or something?
Armenia.
Oh.
And you know who trains him?
Who?
Colin Oyama.
Shut up.
In bare knuckle, in BYB.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So this guy's done everything.
Wait,
But
is
he's
this
a
bare
competitor.
knuckle with Masvidal?
This is bare knuckle with Dada 5000.
Wow.
Wow.
Going back to the streets, going back to the triangle.
And
I'm inviting both of you guys.
where's
to
this
our
at?
next fight. All over. We go all over.
And
We just purchased BKB, the biggest organization in the UK. Like we're on a like.
Well, I thought is
Well,
that Conor? You with Conor McGregor?
No, he's with BKFC, but
Oh, it's confusing.
no,
Yeah.
I know.
It's a lot
But
of letters for Rampage, and he just,
So Connor, there's this post one night. He's like, "Fucking Mike Goldberg, fucking legend, fucking Mike Goldberg's back, fucking right." And then Paulie's there, and he and Paulie Malignaggi, my broadcast partner, had their little scraps and said he knocked him down, all bullshit. So they hate each other. Then they like pan to Paulie in an open. He's like, "Shut your fucking face! Shut your fucking face!" 10 minutes later, the post was down. I swear to God, I think Connor thought he bought part of our company. I swear to God. And then Paulie and I were the commentators, and then that Feldman probably picked up the phone and said, yo. Wrong one. BKFC BYB. Oh, sorry. Okay. And it went down. But down to 5,000 had it recorded. He screen saved it for everybody, sent it out to our whole family.
Is Conor? Was he drunk at the time?
Oh God, yeah. How
often do you think he's drunk? You think he's?
Well, let's make it an easier question. How often do you think he's sober?
oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh no.
But that's mean because I have a great relationship with Connor, and he's always treated me with the highest level of respect.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He is a good guy. He just makes bad decisions, and he likes his drinks, and he's Irish, and he came from a tough part. Like, you can have all that money, man, but you still have that inside where you grew up. And he came from really tough streets in Ireland, really bad neighborhood, and he's made it out. So here's the deal. I think Big John told me this story. So Connor was already a good striker. He walks in to SBG, where there were already some established fighters. John Kavanagh, the first black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Ireland. Trained up here to get it, but in Ireland. Connor comes in, like, all right, I'm going to test this guy, see what's up. Connor's tooling people. And John's like, bring it down, bro. Like this is practice. And he's lighting people up. So John said, all right, you want to be a world champion? Because that's what Connor said when he walked in the door. You want to be a world champion? Connor's like, yeah. So John got him in a position with his jits where it's like the crucifix, whatever it was. Like, he couldn't defend himself. And Kavanagh punched him in the ribs for 30 minutes. 30 fucking minutes. Just, I don't think he was burying it, but he was continuously doing this. And Kavanagh told me when Connor came back to the gym the next day, that's when he knew the kid was special. And he was willing to put in the work.
Wow.
This is an exclusive story. I've never heard of Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is a side people need to see of him, because I don't think a lot of new MMA fans don't realize how special this guy was at the height of his career.
He really, I go
Guy
back to
was
the
so
Dennis
accurate.
Seaver fight.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like much because of all the stuff that's happened since then. And Connor knew he was making money because he wore the black hat as well as anybody, but it just got out of hand. And the remake of Roadhouse, you had to act to be in the A team. You had to do some things like Mr. T. All Connor did was the same shit he does every single day. Get in fights and talk with a really deep Irish accent.
Bro, that first
tell
clip-
people to fuck off.
Bro, that first clip I saw him that got released,
Yeah.
I was like, Conor ain't acting. That's the first thing I said on the line.
That's it.
That was great.
He
It
said
was
He
great.
said it right when the movie came
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
What's your thoughts on when WWE reached out for you to do the voice for Monday Night Raw?
I was honored. I swear to God, I was honored. I grew up a Hulk Hogan fan.
Yeah.
I was in college, first WrestleMania.
Brother.
Like we are, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, brother. I'll tell you what, Mean Gene.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Gene Okerlund, whose son was on the 1984 men's Olympic hockey team, Todd Okerlund, because they're Minnesota guys. So Mean Gene lived down in Sarasota where my first job was. Years later, I get this call, and of course I'm like, it's the WWE. I know what it is, but production-wise and entertainment-wise and it's the shit, and it still is. And so I went up there, and their executive producer, Kevin Dunn, had a stack of UFC DVDs. So they had done their homework. Now, I think there was a little bit of Vince wanting to take me away from Dana because WWE was going back to USA, and the UFC was taking over the Monday nights on Spike. I left there like ready to sign. Like it was a 3-year deal. It was guaranteed. I had health insurance. I had everything that I needed, and it made sense for my family. Like my kids were young, and I literally, the truth is I just told Dana and Lorenzo what they offered me because I didn't want to leave. I was honored to go there, but I didn't want to leave. I've been in Casino Magic enough times, man. I ate at the Cracker Barrel in Kenner, Louisiana enough. I wanted to see, like, this beautiful yacht, the WWE has already ported all over the world. Our yacht was still in the water, but you knew we were getting really close to a cool-ass island.
Yeah.
Probably owned exclusively by the Fertittas, but it was going to be great. Yeah. And Joe, on that Monday night before I was going to be gone the next Monday, he's like, Goldie, you're not going to leave me to do porn, are you? You're not going to do porn? And I'm like, laughing, and Dana did the math. And he said, keep in mind, Goldie, you'll do 52 shows with them. So we're going to pay you this much per show. And it was less money at the time, but then we doubled our shows. And Joe literally also was a big proponent at that time. The show was at the Hard Rock. He went upstairs, talked to Dana and Lorenzo. He said, I love Goldie. He's my guy. We've got great chemistry. Don't mess with it. Don't let him go.
Wow.
Like, don't let him go.
Wow.
And I think now that you look at everything that's gone down, I mean, the sale still bumps me out because I think I was one of the pieces that should have continued, but it's not for me to decide. And I'm much like Q, people know what we've gone through, but I'm not going to be a fucking whiner about it. Nobody wants to hear that because that just brings you down to anybody else's level. But obviously I was smashed. I was heartbroken because I helped build that product as a soundtrack like he did.
Yeah.
And it just became a time in which I just wanted to keep on the voyage. And I'm glad I did because I saw the world in my days with the UFC. I remember having my 100th UFC party. It was actually UFC 91 because of the Spike shows. And it was Randy against Brock.
Wow.
So my first was Randy beating Maurice for the heavyweight title. My second was Brock and Randy for the heavyweight belt. And it looked like Rocky and Hulk Hogan in the movie Thunder Lips, The Ultimate Male. Like Randy had to get a step ladder to get up and punch him in the first round. And then he got finished. And Randy Couture, Captain America, that man is my hero. Guy showed up at the after party. It was just such a family. It was such a family. And I truly believe that business is business. We know that, right?
Right.
But Lorenzo is about family. You know that. And I'm sure there was part of him that it broke his heart a little bit, that his family was broken up because there were over 100 people that were let go with the sale. And on the same hand, he's been in business long enough to know, well, this is how it works, right? This is how it works.
Yeah, I always liked Lorenzo.
I love Lorenzo. Lorenzo sponsored my kids' hockey team 3 years in a row. We had UFC patches on their jerseys. They were like 11. They thought they were tough as fuck.
Do you still have a relationship with the UFC or Lorenzo or Dana?
Not really. Not really. I can't find Lorenzo now. You know, if you think about it, other than a few fights, he's just gone on to the next.
Yeah.
If I saw him, it would be a very pleasurable conversation. With Dana, I don't know, he liked to pick on me a little bit. I always felt like I told the company line. If Dana said, this is what we're going to do, we're not going to talk about losses, I never argued. That's not journalistically correct. Like,
Yeah.
But I don't know. But I'd be honored, like, to do it again. Wow. And I have huge respect for Dana. But who knows? I don't think he hates me, but we're not pen pals.
Yeah, I was wondering.
And you have that same situation with him.
Yeah. Well, Dana and I, we've had a bunch of arguments.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I've gotten older, and I kind of understand, like, you know, I put myself in other people's shoes, and some things that Dana did, I feel like he did to me, I would never do to other people. But at the end of the day, you know, I never owned a company like the UFC and stuff like that. But some of the things Dana did, like the whole Reebok thing, I would have handled it differently if I was in the other person's shoes, and a couple other things that he did. But you know, he's done a lot of good things for the sport. I'm the type of person that I really believe in karma, and that's the way I carry myself, the way I carry myself. So I'm not going to sit here and say anything bad about Dana because you know, why should I? You know, Dana knows what he's done and what he hasn't done for me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I know what I've done and what I haven't done for Dana. You know, I felt like I've done a lot of good things for the UFC. Like I've done them some favors and stuff like that. You know, I put my life and my health on the line for them. But, you know, I got paid.
And it's funny you say that. You ended it there because I have a lot of possessions, not possessions, but a home. My kids went to college. They went to acting school in my daughter's case. That's all from Frank Lorenzo and Dana. So I can't complain either.
Right, yeah.
But I was an independent contractor, so nothing comes my way with the sale, but nothing went to any other independent contractor.
Right.
Do you feel like you guys should have gotten something? Guys like Rampage, yourself, Chuck Liddell?
Some
These
of them,
icons?
yeah. Well, I'd like to know if Chuck and Matt got something. Because if you think back to that, Chuck and Matt Hughes, they had those desk jobs for about $300,000 a year, just kind of fighter relations then. And it took the sting a little bit away from me when they did the same thing to the Iceman and to Matt when the new owners came in and they no longer had jobs.
So, yeah, you got to think about it. When they sold the UFC, you know, the company bought them for, I can't remember what.
$4.2 billion.
Yeah, so that company had to make their money back right away.
Yeah.
So
And they had some big ass interest payments.
right. So you got to think about it. So you got to think about it. They cutting everything.
And they're coming in. My last fight was when Amanda Nunes beat Ronda Rousey.
Oh, wow.
So now the new owners come in, and one of the biggest draws has fought her last fight. So that's why Conor was on the card all the time back then. Like Chuck and Tito were, like you were back in the day. Like GSP was, like the people who push the buttons. John, like you push the buttons. BJ Penn, you push the button, you buy. Jose Aldo, Renan Barão, fucking beasts.
Yeah.
But you push the button. So now the big buttons need to be bigger because they just purchased this thing for $4.2 billion. And one of the biggest draws with pay-per-view, Ronda, is done fighting.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you this: the money Conor McGregor has made, it's good and it's bad for MMA. I'm gonna tell you why. Because look at Conor now.
Yeah.
It's hard to get him fight because MMA is such a hard sport. If you make as an MMA fighter, if you make $100 million or something like that, you don't need to fight no more. Like, why would you put yourself through all that hard training and stuff? Like, you got the rare people that love it. They really love it and say, you know, I don't care how much money I make. I'm gonna come and train hard and keep doing it. But if you sitting on $100 million,
yeah,
like that's why people think like, well, basketball players, they make a lot of money, but they still go and do it. But they ain't getting punched in the face.
No, it's very true. They're not putting their lives on the line.
That is a great point.
And you know what? The guy I would think of that's the opposite would be Glover Teixeira. You know, the oldest guy at the time to win a UFC championship. And he kept doing it. Now, he didn't make Conor money, but he was in the main event a lot, so he's getting paid. But he kept doing it because of the love. The last training camp, I don't know if it was the one with Dustin, the ankle, but Kavanaugh, they did their whole training camp on Conor's yacht. Now, that doesn't mean you can't put your work in. That does not mean there's plenty of room on Conor's yacht. That means John can't get him ready and there's the cook on board. But I think it's kind of like Rocky 2 when Apollo takes Rocky to his gym. You know, Eye of the Tiger, Rocky.
This guy trained on a yacht.
Yeah, he trained on his yacht.
Crazy. I didn't know that.
Is his yacht big enough to put an MMA cage on there?
Oh, fuck yeah.
What, that Lamborghini yacht?
No, that's like his little speedboat.
That's his.
He had a major yacht that he kept riding his bike around every morning and taking photos with fans.
I never seen. I only seen
Yeah.
the. This
It's
is why I
a
fucked
mega
me up.
yacht.
Yeah.
Mega yacht. And they trained on it and they trained underneath too. They had
Yep.
the weight gym. Yeah, I saw behind the scenes photos on someone's
it's
close
pretty
friends.
cool.
I don't want to say the guy.
Yeah.
Actually, Wayne.
This is what fucked me up when you said that. Hey, I got one more last question. I was supposed to have been gone a long time ago. I'm gonna have to cuss him out because I had an important meeting in LA. But I'm gonna have to cuss him out. But you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I got mad love for you. I didn't want to go, but
I didn't put the timer in here because I didn't want you to know because I really wanted us to have
no,
an
but
interview.
yeah, but this shit costing me fucking money. I was supposed to be gone. I was supposed to be in LA right now.
But he's a legend.
I know, but I know I love him, but this motherfucker ain't paying my motherfucking bills.
And he wouldn't let me drive his Rolls Royce either. Selfish.
You wouldn't let him drive your Rolls Royce?
I don't know why I wouldn't let him drive.
That is crazy.
I had
Ask
probably
your
just
question,
got
though.
it.
Ask your question though.
My question is, what would you say to younger people that wanted to get into, commentating and stuff like that? What advice would you give them? And are you interested are you thinking about making like the Goldberg school for commentating, so people come and learn from you?
That would be something I'd be interested in. First thing I would tell them is to grow some reptile skin, maybe about 7 layers, because it's a nasty business. People either love you or hate her. Somebody said to me one time, and I actually talked about this with a guy in Phoenix, Michael Burnoff, on his podcast. Some people like ketchup. Some people like mustard. At the end of the day, announcers, it's all subjective. You love Marv Albert, but you hate Brent Musburger. Well, they're both great. It's just subjective. So I'd say grow some reptile skin. And I said, some people like ketchup, some people like mustard. And Michael Burnoff said, well, which are you? And I said, depends on the night and the viewer. So first, do that. Second, know that it's not about stepping up 5 minutes before the event, putting on a headset and talking. My prep is not the physically demanding prep that you have for a fight, but I think of myself as an NFL quarterback. I'm the one with all the plays on my list. That's what I believe allowed Joe to be the greatest. He was always great, but he didn't have to worry about all that. Not at all. So I've got the plays. So all week I'm getting everything in order so that I can say the right things about the fighters and tell their storylines. That's why 98% of the fighters, go back to Phil Davis, Ryan, and I could drop names forever, like yourself, Q, respect me. And they know that I took care of them. I remember John pulled me aside in Columbus one time. He's like, everybody talks about Greg. And Wink is the guy who's really worked on my striking. Can you give Wink a little love on the show? Fuck, the champion asked me. I'm like, yeah, of course. And I'm a hockey guy, so of course I'm going to spread the love. So I would tell him that. I would tell him, be ready to prep, be ready to be rejected, and just be passionate, be energetic, and be prepared. Because if you could be anybody. You could have been Barack Obama the other night, giving that speech in Chicago. If he wasn't prepared, people would have saw right through it. And I've never gone into a show unprepared. Naturally, during the flow, there's certain things that might fall aside, but it's live TV. My gag reel is like 18 minutes. I did like 1 million minutes of UFC. Like, I'd be a fucking rich baseball player. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'd have my own Rolls Royce. I wouldn't let you drive.
No, I probably just got. But he probably was joking with me when he asked.
I was. We were doing it. We were doing a thing for Bellator.
Yeah, we were doing something for Bellator. Yeah. He was joking. He wasn't, because my cars are. Normally my cars
like 25. I'm surprised he went like
no. Normally my cars are my toys, but the Rolls Royce, that was the only one that wasn't my toy. Yeah. That was probably my favorite car.
But he did this, like gave me the keys. Yeah. No, he ain't driving, Goldie.
Yeah. One time he pulled up to my park in his green Lamborghini and he threw the keys at me. I was like, I could take it for a ride. He goes, no, park it. Jesus Christ. I go, it's like that? And he showed up with a baddie sitting courtside. And it was a charity event for my family, so I had to park the car. But he would always show up to the charity events, but came through with the topic, kids are going nuts. He'd pass out toys. Good guy. So we cut him some slack, regardless of him looking like a human blue chew. One thing I got to say is the legend that you are in person, respectful, kind, humble, but at the same time, you just keep us engaged.
Thank you.
We did 3 podcasts today, and you making us not miss a beat. This guy forgot one of his important meetings. Probably going to get chewed out by 13 of his girlfriends.
I didn't forget.
It's an honor to have you here, and we know
it's my honor as well.
We know what you've done for the sport, and you've narrated some of my favorite fights. You've given us I don't want to say that the analyst is analyst, but you set up some of the biggest guys we hear today and gave them a platform as well with the way you was storytelling before people even knew how to storytell in MMA.
Absolutely, because you got to have people have an interest one way or another, Bear, in the fighter.
No, I appreciate you.
White hat, black hat. Tito wore the black hat as well as anybody back in the day. But you know what? You either wanted to see Tito win or you wanted to see Tito get the shit beat out of him.
Yeah.
But you press that red button for $69.99.
Same as Jake Paul or Logan Paul. Everybody knows how to sell a fight, and now people are being accustomed to it. But it's cool because it makes the legends bigger. So if me and Rampage were going to be fighting, if you had to be the commentator of the fight, how would you intro us? How would you intro this fight?
Well, first I would do the funny intro. I won't do the real one first, but I'll go back to what Joe said on the air one time, which when you had President Awesome Karate Combat, you were talking Memphis and Nashville. What's the difference? And you said black, white. I was doing the trunks for a fight with Joe. I'm like, Bear in the white and red trunks, Rampage in the gold trunks. And Joe straight out said, why don't you just say white guy, black guy? And I'm like, because I don't host Fear Factor, bro. And I just said, I'm like, that was Joe Rogan who said that. And that was Joe Rogan. Remember that?
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. But I'd be like, how much you weigh?
I'm 200.
Really?
Yeah.
He's lying, bro.
I'm 180.
180?
Yeah.
Bro,
You'd have to cut off a leg.
Bro, yeah, you can't believe a word come out of his mouth.
I'm 180,
no,
5'10".
I don't want to dance
you
over
fought at 85.
No.
No?
Never. I fought Sakuraba close to it. They made me lose a lot of weight.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, that was fucked up.
No, yeah, okay. So I do want to ask you a question about that. But why do you care to say black guy and white guy? Is that not politically correct in your field of work?
I don't think it is. No, it's not. It's not.
No, you can't.
It's obviously you don't have to like do the trunks, but it's just that's what you do, right?
Yeah. Right.
But Joe just, and you probably thought it 100 times before that, but he just blurted it out on the air, and I'm like, wow, he got fuck you money, so I'm just gonna say that was Rogan who said that.
Yeah. My first professional fight, I fought Marvin Eastman in King of the Cage, and I went back and watched the commentators, and the only way they could tell me from Marvin Eastman because I was wearing high socks.
Really?
2 black guys fighting, and one of the commentators called me Marvin, and the guy was like, "No, Quentin Jackson is the one with the high socks."
Marvin the Beastman Eastman.
Yeah, that was my first professional fight.
Wow.
And the only way they could tell me because those socks. And so I can, the race thing and fighting. Yeah. I didn't know if it was political, so I understand why you...
For sure, politically correct.
Yeah.
Probably Joe's just saying it's easier.
Joe also had one of his greatest lines ever in a Marvin Eastman fight.
What was that?
When he was cut really badly over the eye.
Yeah.
What did he say?
He said, it looks like a goat's vagina.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
And I said, that was Joe Rogan. Same thing. Yeah.
A goat's vagina.
Yeah. It did, though. Well, I can't say that. I've never seen a goat's vagina, but if that's what it is, then I did see it on Marvin's.
So we appreciate you coming on here, and we can't thank you enough. And now that we're about to fight, we're gonna outro with one of the greatest outros of all JAXXON podcasts.
Okay,
it's me and him going to battle, and hey,
oh shit! Rampage just jumped. Big John McCarthy did not say let's get it on yet. I think Rampage is going to knock him out, but this is going to be a DQ. This is a DQ. This is not happening. Well, you did say he had no ground and pound the other day, Bear.
Oh, my God.
And we are ready for the main event of the evening. A catchweight battle at 193 pounds between, what's your last name? Gigliotti? DeGidio? Yeah. Bear, the prodigy, Bear DeGidio, who is a rising star inside the octagon, against a future Hall of Famer, Quentin Rampage Jackson, the former champion, looking to add another belt to his trophy case. Jackson in the black, Bear in the white. Here we go!
And that's a wrap. Incredible.